resident noticed dry shells, or little gray pods growing on their walls. They seem to appear in high places and look like dead bits of cement or dust. They only seem to move very slowly, if at all. Is it a bug or a fungus? This is the larva of the plaster bagworm, Pherioca uterella, also known as the household case-bearer. The shell is actually a protective mobile home that the larva builds for itself out of silk, sand, lint, and dust found in your house. It drags this case around as it feeds on spiderwebs, wool, and other natural fibers. While they are generally harmless to humans, they can be a nuisance and a sign that you might need to vacuum your corners and baseboards more frequently. A user's friend bought a capybara keychain at a festival. The cute animal figure had a strange feature, an item coming out of its mouth that could be pulled and retracted. They thought it might be a cupcake or a balloon. What is the capybara eating? This is a snot bubble or a sleep bubble. In anime and manga iconography, a character who is sleeping soundly is often drawn with a large bubble expanding and contracting from their nose. This keychain is a stress toy that mimics that trope. When you squeeze the capybara, the bubble pops out to show he is sleeping deeply. It's a cute, culturally specific design element that often confuses people unfamiliar with Japanese animation visual language. A homeowner asked for help identifying an old metal object found in a piece of wood. It looks like a nail, but it is thick, square-headed, and deeply pitted with rust. The question was whether this is a modern, rustic reproduction used for ornamental furniture or a genuine antique forged by a blacksmith. Based on the heavy pitting and irregular shape, this is almost certainly a genuine antique cut nail or hand-forged nail, likely from the 19th century or earlier. Before modern wire nails, which are round, were invented in the late 1800s, nails were either cut from iron sheets, square profile, or hammered out by hand, tapered on all four sides. The deep corrosion indicates it has been exposed to the elements for decades, far longer than a modern reproduction would likely weather. A TV owner posted a photo of their screen showing strange, colorful rectangular patches and pixelation. It would happen intermittently, stop for a while, and then start again. They asked, "What is my TV doing?" It looked like a digital mosaic gone wrong. This visual distortion is known as artifacting, and it usually points to a failing graphics processing unit, GPU, or a dying video processor board inside the TV. It happens when the hardware can no longer correctly render the image data, resulting in misplaced blocks of color or glitches. If this is a smart TV, the internal computer is likely overheating or failing. Unfortunately, it's often a sign that the TV, or the device connected to it, like a game console, is nearing the end of its life. After a 40-hour drive across America, a driver found a massive smear of Ghostbusters snot on their car. It was gooey, rubbery, and hard to wash off. They guessed they drove over glue. This is likely tire sealant, often called slime, or industrial adhesive. When a large truck blows a tire that was filled with emergency sealant, it sprays this green or white goop all over the road. If you drive through the puddle before it dries, it flings up onto your wheel wells and paint, curing into a rubbery, stubborn mess. It's a pain to remove, usually requiring tar remover or heavy scrubbing. A person found black stains with yellowish surroundings on a bar of soap that had been sitting in the shower. They asked, "Is this mold?" It seems counterintuitive that soap, which cleans things, could grow mold itself. While pure soap is generally too alkaline for mold, super-fatted soaps, or those with natural additives, like oatmeal, goat milk, or petals, can indeed grow mold or mildew. The black spots are likely mildew feeding on the organic ingredients or oils in the soap that have gone rancid in the humid environment of the shower. It's a sign that the soap is old and has been kept too wet for too long. After returning from a cruise, a traveler found a mysterious black blob on the back of their suitcase and a corresponding smear on their wall where the suitcase had been leaning. They were terrified it was black mold spreading from the luggage to the house. It was dark, sticky, and didn't look like dirt. This is simply heavy grease, likely picked up from the conveyor belts or baggage handling equipment at the airport or cruise terminal. Industrial machinery is often lubricated with thick, black grease. If a suitcase gets snagged or dragged across a gear or a rail, it can pick up a glob of this lubricant. When the traveler leaned the case against the wall, the grease transferred, creating a scary-looking stain that is fortunately just a cleaning problem, not a biological hazard. On the side of a kitchen island, a homeowner found an odd hunk of wood. It has a line across the center with a darker stain at the bottom and adhesive residue at the top. It looks like something broke off of it. It's clearly mounted there for a purpose, but the functional part is missing. This is likely the wooden mounting base for a wall-mounted bottle opener or a heavy-duty apron hook. The adhesive residue and the screw holes suggest that a metal component, like a classic Star X bottle opener, was once attached to the top part. The darker stain at the bottom is likely a catch basin, or simply wear from where the caps would fall or where an apron would hang against the wood. Without the metal hardware, it's just a confused block of wood. After taking a sip of a ready electrolyte drink, the user noticed it tasted terrible. They poured it out and found a slimy, floating blob at the bottom. It looked like a jellyfish or a mushroom. They jokingly asked, "How long do I have left to live?" This is a fungal mat, or a colony of mold yeast that grew inside the bottle. Even in sealed drinks, if the seal is compromised or if there was a manufacturing error, sugar and nutrients in the liquid can allow microbes to thrive. In vinegar making, a similar structure is called a mother. While drinking it is disgusting and can cause an upset stomach or nausea, it is rarely fatal. It's a gross reminder to always check the bottle before taking a swig. A homeowner discovered a large, mysterious hole in a plaster wall inside a deep, dark closet. It was about a foot in diameter, and the wood inside looked damaged. The house is in the Hollywood Hills and is mostly unoccupied. The hole wasn't there before. What could eat through a wall like that? The consensus points to a rodent infestation, likely rats or squirrels, potentially exacerbated by water damage or dry rot. If a pipe leaked inside the wall, softening the plaster and lath, it would make it easy for pests to chew through to enter the living space. The wood damage inside confirms that something has been gnawing at the structure. In older Hollywood homes, roof rats are a common problem, and they can be surprisingly destructive when left unchecked. While using a manual snake to clean a clogged shower drain, a user pulled up a strange metal object attached to a clump of hair and gunk. It looks like a thin metal rod with a flat, holed end. It doesn't look like a pipe cleaning tool. How did it get down there? This is the lift rod or pivot lever from a bathroom sink's pop-up drain assembly. It connects the handle behind the faucet to the stopper in the sink. It likely rusted through, or the retaining nut came loose, causing it to fall into the drain pipe. Over time, it traveled down the plumbing until it got stuck in the trap or a bend, catching hair and causing the clog you were trying to fix. While eating a Vietnamese meal, a diner found a strange, dark, rubbery ingredient in their container of beef with XO sauce. It didn't look like beef, and it definitely wasn't a vegetable they recognized. It was crinkly and almost black. Was this a mistake or an exotic ingredient? This is a wood ear mushroom, or Auricularia hymure. It is a staple ingredient in many Asian cuisines, particularly in stir-fries and soups. Unlike the soft button mushrooms used in the West, wood ear has a distinctively crunchy, gelatinous texture and a dark, ear-like shape. It has very little flavor of its own, but is prized for its texture and its ability to soak up sauces like the savory, spicy XO sauce. It's completely edible and a deliberate part of the dish. In New South Wales, Australia, a tree was spotted covered in green spaghetti. The strands were soft to the touch and draped over the branches like a messy net. No other trees nearby had it. It looked like someone had dumped a truckload of green yarn on the foliage. Is this a plant or a prank? This is a parasitic plant known as dodder, cuscuta, often called strangleweed or devil's hair. It is a leafless vine that cannot produce its own food through photosynthesis. Instead, it attaches itself to a host plant using structures called haustoria, which penetrate the host's tissue to suck out water and nutrients. It grows incredibly fast, creating these massive, spaghetti-like tangles that can eventually weaken or kill the host tree. It's a fascinating but destructive botanical vampire. A beer drinker noticed strange spots and sediment at the bottom of their Spotted Cow beer from New Glarus Brewing Co. They were worried it was spoiled or contaminated. The beer is a farmhouse ale, which is often cloudy, but chunks can be alarming to the uninitiated. What you are seeing is yeast sediment or lees. Spotted Cow is a cask-conditioned or bottle-conditioned ale, meaning the yeast is left in the bottle to carbonate the beer naturally. Over time, or if the beer gets cold, proteins and yeast can clump together and settle at the bottom. It is completely natural and safe to drink. In fact, it's full of B vitamins. Some people gently swirl the bottle to mix it back in, while others pour carefully to leave the sediment behind. While cleaning a rarely used room, a homeowner found small, uniform piles of black seeds or pellets. They were worried it was droppings, but the piles seemed too neat and the objects looked like seeds. There were no other signs of pests. What created these little hordes? This is almost certainly a rodent stash, likely from a mouse. Mice are notorious hoarders. They will gather seeds, kibble, or nuts, and stash them in safe, quiet locations for later consumption. The uniformity of the pile suggests a deliberate effort to stockpile food rather than random droppings, which would be scattered. Even if you don't see the mouse, these little pantries are a sure sign that you have a tiny, uninvited roommate preparing for winter. A couple returned home to find a strange, large box sitting in the middle of the grass near their unit. It wasn't a cardboard package addressed to them. It was a sturdy, reusable tote. It was empty and had Amazon branding or related codes on it. It sat there for 24 hours untouched. Why would a delivery driver leave an empty crate on the lawn? This is a delivery tote, often used by Amazon or logistics companies to sort and transport packages within their vans. Drivers use them to organize stops, keeping all the envelopes for one neighborhood in a single bin. Occasionally, in the rush of a delivery, a driver might set the tote down to grab a package and simply forget to pick it back up, driving off without it. It's essentially a piece of the logistics chain that fell off the truck. Found in central North Carolina, this small snake was spotted slithering through the yard. It has a patterned back with gray and brown blotches. The finder was worried. Is it venomous? Is it a copperhead? Identifying snakes correctly is crucial for safety. This is a juvenile rat snake, likely a Great Plains rat snake, Pantherophis emorii, or an eastern rat snake. These are non-venomous constrictors that are extremely beneficial to have around. They are excellent climbers and feed on rodents, helping to keep pest populations in check. People often mistake them for copperheads due to the pattern, but the rat snake has round pupils, not slits, and lacks the distinctive Hershey's Kiss pattern of a copperhead. It's a harmless neighbor. Washed up on the banks of the James River, a walker found a pile of massive, pale, fleshy organs. They looked like lungs or stomachs. It was a gruesome sight. The finder wondered what creature they came from and why they were just lying there. These are the entrails, specifically the intestines and stomach, of a white-tailed deer. When hunters shoot a deer, they typically field dress it immediately, removing the internal organs to cool the meat and make the carcass lighter to drag out. Often, these remains are left in the woods for scavengers. If left near a river or washed in by high water, the gases from decomposition can cause the organs to float and wash up downstream, creating a startling scene for hikers. A shopper bought a bottom round roast and discovered disturbing black spots inside the muscle tissue after slicing it. They looked like small stones or rot. The user was understandably grossed out and asked if it was safe to eat. These spots are likely blood clots or hemorrhages within the muscle. This happens when an animal is stressed or injured shortly before processing, causing capillaries to burst in the meat. While technically safe to eat if fully cooked, it indicates a lower quality cut and is generally considered unappetizing. Most butchers will trim these out before sale. Finding them in a pre-packaged roast is a sign of poor quality control, and the consensus is usually to return it or throw it away. A new homeowner found a gray box, about 10 by 10 centimeters, hanging under their satellite dish. It has 2 cables attached to it. They weren't sure if it was part of the satellite system or something left behind by a previous utility company. This is a housing for a masthead amplifier or a preamp. Its job is to boost the television or satellite signal right at the source, the antenna, before it travels down the long coaxial cable into the house. This prevents signal loss and ensures a clear picture. The plastic box protects the sensitive electronic amplifier inside from rain and weather. If your TV signal is working fine, this little gray box is doing its job. Found while cleaning a new house, this object is a shiny, dome-shaped piece of metal with a screw hole in the center. It looks like a small cymbal or a hubcap for a toy. It rings if you flick it. This is the top dome of a classic mechanical bicycle bell. The internal gears and the thumb lever that strike the bell are missing, leaving just this hollow metal shell. When assembled, a small metal washer spins inside and hits the bumps on this dome to create the ring-ring sound. Finding just the top part suggests an old bike broke or was disassembled nearby and the rest of the bell was tossed away. A user was puzzled by a nativity scene that featured a large wooden ring that spun around the figures. It had a spiral cut in it, as if it was meant to tighten onto a cylinder. It seemed completely unrelated to the Christmas theme. Why is baby Jesus surrounded by a mechanical clamp? The consensus is that this is a repurposed object. The ring looks exactly like the rim of a collapsible wooden fruit basket or bowl, the kind often shaped like an apple or pear that folds flat. Someone likely took the base or the rim of a broken collapsible bowl and glued the nativity figures onto it to create a diorama, not realizing, or not caring, that the base was originally a piece of transformable kitchenware. A homeowner noticed dark, fuzzy spots appearing on the blinds in their bedroom. These are European-style rolling blinds that sit on the outside of the window. The window itself doesn't open, making cleaning difficult. When the adjacent window is opened, a damp, old odor wafts in. Is this just dirt from the rain, or something worse? This is definitely mold or mildew. Exterior rolling blinds often trap moisture and dust in the tight spaces where they retract. If the area is shaded or doesn't dry out completely after rain, mold spores can colonize the fabric or slats. The damp, old odor is a classic sign of active fungal growth. While it is outside, the spores can still affect air quality when windows are open. It requires a deep clean with a fungicide or vinegar solution to kill the growth. A user was going insane trying to figure out why bleach-like orange spots kept appearing on the neckline of their shirts. They swore they didn't use bleach, and it only happened to random shirts after washing. The spots were always in the same area, around the collar or chest. What mysterious chemical is ruining these clothes? The culprit is almost certainly benzoyl peroxide, a common ingredient in acne face washes and creams. Even if you rinse your face, a residue often remains on the skin. When you pull a shirt over your head or sweat during the day, the chemical transfers to the fabric. Benzoyl peroxide is a potent bleaching agent that reacts with colored dyes, leaving those characteristic rusty orange spots. It often doesn't show up until the shirt comes out of the laundry, making it seem like the washing machine is to blame. A reader found a strange symbol in their Bible, right in the middle of the text in Exodus 16. It looked like a dark blob with a halo around it, obscuring a letter. It wasn't a Hebrew character or a footnote marker. It looked like a printing error, but a very specific one. What does this symbol mean? This is a printing defect known in the industry as a hickey or a bullseye. It happens during offset printing when a small piece of dried ink, skin, dust, or paper fiber gets stuck to the printing plate or the blanket cylinder. This debris prevents the fresh ink from transferring smoothly to the paper, creating a solid dark spot with a white halo around it where the paper wasn't touched. It's not a divine sign or a secret code, just a tiny piece of dirt in the printing press. Someone asked, "What is this, guys?" regarding a purple, blob-like plastic figure found in a package. The packaging text was obscured, leading to some wild and inappropriate guesses online. But the character is instantly recognizable to anyone who grew up with fast food in the 90s. Who is this purple fellow? This is an action figure of Grimace, the lovable purple mascot from McDonald's McDonaldland. Originally introduced as Evil Grimace, who stole milkshakes, he was later rebranded as a gentle giant and Ronald McDonald's best friend. This specific figure is likely a collectible or a pop art style toy. Despite the strange jokes on the internet, he is simply a nostalgic character representing the milkshake, or, according to some McDonald's lore, a gigantic taste bud. A homeowner found a small plate on their bedroom wall with a square hole in the middle. It looks like an outlet, but too small for a power plug. In the age of Wi-Fi and smartphones, many younger people genuinely don't recognize this once ubiquitous piece of technology. What is it? This is an RJ11 telephone jack. Before cell phones, every house had landlines wired into the walls, and this port is where you would plug in your home telephone. The 4 small metal pins inside carried the voice signal and the low-voltage power needed to ring the phone. While most modern homes no longer use landlines, these jacks are still present in millions of bedrooms and kitchens, painted over and forgotten as relics of the wired communication era. While eating a can of boiled peanuts, a snacker found a strange object that looked like a mushroom or a weird fungus. It was pale, segmented, and definitely not a peanut. Panic ensued. Was the food contaminated? This is actually a piece of a corn cob. Peanuts and corn are often grown in rotation or in nearby fields. During harvesting, mechanical harvesters can sometimes pick up debris from a previous crop or a neighboring field. This small section of a cob, stripped of its kernels, likely got processed and boiled right along with the peanuts. It's harmless vegetable matter, just a stowaway from the farm that made it through the sorting process. A user found a pin featuring a man in a black suit, black hat, and sunglasses. They asked, "Who is on this pin?" The character looks cool, stoic, and musical. To many, he is an icon of 1980s cinema and music. Do you recognize him? That is Elwood Blues, played by Dan Aykroyd, one half of the legendary Blues Brothers. The pin likely dates back to the height of the movie's popularity in the early 80s. The Blues Brothers started as a sketch on Saturday Night Live, before becoming a real blues band and starring in the cult classic film. The pin is a piece of pop culture memorabilia celebrating their mission from God to save the orphanage through rhythm and blues. Someone spotted a giant screen that appeared to be made of multiple bulbs. It was super bright and about the size of a door. It was displaying the time and occasionally funny anime memes. It looked like a DIY project, but on a massive scale. What is this technology? This is a large LED matrix panel, likely a custom art installation. These displays are built using grid modules of RGB LEDs. Unlike a standard TV screen which uses microscopic pixels, these panels use larger individual lights to create a retro pixel art aesthetic. They are popular among makers and tech enthusiasts who use controllers like Raspberry Pi or Arduino to program them to display scrolling text, weather updates, or pixelated GIFs. It's digital signage brought into the living room. A user posted a picture of a wooden kitchen utensil asking, "What is this for?" It looks like a decorative baton or a complex honey dipper with loose wooden rings carved into the handle. It seems too intricate to be a simple spoon or masher. This is a molinillo, a traditional Mexican wooden whisk used for making hot chocolate, champurrado, or mole. To use it, you hold the handle between your palms and rub them back and forth quickly, causing the head to spin in the liquid. The loose rings and carved grooves aerate the drink, creating the signature frothy foam that is essential to a good cup of Mexican hot chocolate. It's a tool that has been used for centuries, dating back to Aztec culinary traditions. Found in the woods behind a house, this object looks like a rusty piece of industrial equipment. It swivels and has a crossbar made of rebar. The welds are noticeably sloppy and uneven, suggesting it wasn't made in a factory. It seems designed to hold something heavy or to lean something against, but its location in the forest is puzzling. Is it a trap, a tool, or something else entirely? This appears to be a homemade game hoist or a skinning stand used by hunters. The rough construction using rebar and the swivel mechanism are typical of DIY solutions, built to hang a deer for field dressing. The swiveling top allows the hunter to rotate the animal while working. Alternatively, it could be a target stand for shooting practice. Since it lacks the precision of a manufactured product, it is a unique piece of redneck engineering left behind in the woods. A user found a pin featuring a caricature of a man and asked, "What is this pin from?" The drawing style is very distinct, exaggerated features, loose lines, and a comedic tone. It feels familiar to anyone who read comics in the late 20th century. Who is the artist behind this face? This pin features artwork by the legendary caricaturist Mort Drucker, who was famous for his work in Mad magazine. For over 5 decades, Drucker illustrated movie and TV parodies, defining the visual style of satire for generations. The pin is likely a promotional item or a collectible featuring one of his drawings. His style is instantly recognizable by the large heads and expressive hands, a signature look that influenced countless other artists. A user cut open a seemingly healthy orange, only to find a horror show inside. The exterior peel looked completely fine, but the center was black, mushy, and looked like it had been destroyed by something. It's a shocking contrast, perfect on the outside, rotten on the core. What causes this hidden decay? This is a classic case of alternaria rot, often called black heart or black rot. It is caused by a fungus, Alternaria alternata, that enters the fruit through tiny cracks in the peel or the stem end while it is still on the tree. The fungus grows inside the fruit, digesting the center and turning it into a black, fuzzy mass, even while the thick peel remains firm and looks healthy. It's a nasty surprise that you usually don't discover until you peel it. A friend gifted the user 2 dagger-looking things. They are elaborate, with jagged blades, weird handles, and a design that looks like it belongs in a video game rather than a museum. The user hoped they were valuable antiques. What are these weapons? These are decorative fantasy knives, often referred to as mall ninja gear. They are typically made of low-quality stainless steel and are designed to look cool on a shelf, rather than to be used for cutting or combat. The designs are often inspired by fantasy art, anime, or movies like Rambo or Klingon weaponry. While they look menacing, they are usually mass-produced collectibles with little historical or practical value, meant purely for display. Found on top of a mailbox post, this object looks like a heavy-duty bolt with a large plastic spacer or collar. It looks like it fell off a truck or was left there by a delivery person. It's clearly a mechanical part, but for what machine? This is a shipping bolt, or transit bolt, from a front-loading washing machine. When a new washer is delivered, these bolts are installed in the back to lock the drum in place, preventing it from banging around and getting damaged during transport. The installers must remove them before the machine is used. It seems likely that a neighbor got a new washer, the installers removed the bolts, and one was accidentally left behind or dropped near the mailboxes. Found in a break room, this small wooden object confused the finder, who described it as some kind of Q-Sport item. It has a flat, concave top and a pointed bottom. It's painted white. To anyone who plays sports, it's instantly recognizable, but context is everything. As the Reddit comments jokingly pointed out, obviously, you're not a golfer. This is a standard wooden golf tee. It is used to elevate the golf ball slightly above the ground for the initial drive from the tee box. The concave top cradles the ball, and the pointed end is pushed into the grass. Finding one in a break room suggests a coworker might be a golfer who had one loose in their pocket. This antique item is made of ivory and brass, covered in teeny tiny numbers and letters. It hinges open like a ruler. The finder knew it was old, but had no idea of its function. It looks like a tool for navigation or architecture. You have found a sector, also known as a proportional compass. Before the invention of the slide rule or the pocket calculator, this was the primary calculation tool for architects, gunners, and surveyors from the 16th to the 19th century. By opening the arms to different angles and using a pair of dividers to measure distances between the various scales, lines of chords, polygons, etc., a user could perform complex multiplication, division, and trigonometric calculations. It is a sophisticated piece of mathematical history. A user found a vintage locket from the late 50s belonging to their grandmother. Inside were tiny photos of celebrities, not family members. One face was instantly recognizable to film buffs, but not to the user. Who is the handsome man in the locket? The man in the photo is Burt Lancaster, one of the biggest stars of Hollywood's golden age. Known for his athletic physique and intense blue eyes, he starred in classics like From Here to Eternity and Elmer Gantry. It was common for wallet manufacturers and locket makers to sell their products with stock photos of famous movie stars inside, much like the generic smiling families in picture frames today. Your grandmother may have just kept the handsome actor in there as a placeholder, or she was a big fan. A user found a strange coin featuring a collection of mystical symbols, zodiac signs, the Eye of Ra, the Ankh, and a sun in the center. They suspected it might be a Masonic token or a secret society coin. It feels heavy and significant, but the mix of Egyptian and astrological symbols is confusing. Despite the mysterious appearance, this is not a Masonic artifact. It is a magic coin or a novelty souvenir, often sold in magic shops or carnivals. While it may contain a symbol resembling the Masonic square and compasses, the chaotic mix of Egyptian hieroglyphs, zodiac signs, and other occult imagery is typical of good luck tokens minted for tourists or used by stage magicians as props. It's a fun collector's item, but it doesn't unlock any secret doors. A cat owner received a gift from their indoor pet, a severed, fluffy tail. The owner sent a picture asking if it was a mouse, hoping it wasn't something bigger. The tail was long, bushy, and gray, definitely not the thin, hairless tail of a mouse. That is definitely a squirrel tail. The bushy fur and the size are the giveaways. It seems the indoor cat managed to catch a squirrel that either got into the house or was snatched near an open window or door. While cats are efficient hunters, finding just the tail is a common and gruesome occurrence, as tails can detach or be left behind while the rest of the prey escapes or is consumed elsewhere. A broken 5-point metal assembly was found on a flagstone outside a house. It was covered in grease and looked like a mechanical part. The finder lives in a quiet suburb and couldn't figure out what vehicle dropped it. This is the ball retainer, or cage, from a ball bearing, likely from a skateboard or inline skate wheel. These small bearings, often size 608, take a lot of abuse. When they blow out, the balls scatter, and this metal cage, which keeps the balls spaced apart, pops out. Given the size and the grease, it's a telltale sign that a local skater had a blowout right in front of your house. A McDonald's customer finished their drink and found a hard, jagged object at the bottom of the cup. They initially thought it was ice, but it didn't melt and felt like plastic. It was a gross discovery. This appears to be a shard of hard plastic, possibly from the drink dispenser's nozzle, the ice machine, or even a broken lid that fell into the cup stack. In fast food environments, equipment can wear down or break, and occasionally, a piece of the machine itself ends up in the product. It is a serious food safety hazard, and finding something like this warrants an immediate complaint to the restaurant. Found on the street, this small roll of plastic puzzled a passerby. It looked like tape or a bag of some sort, but it was small and tightly wound. It's a common sight for dog owners, but maybe not for everyone else. That is a refill roll of dog waste bags. They are sold in these small cylinders to fit into bone-shaped dispensers that clip onto a leash. Someone walking their dog likely dropped a fresh roll out of their pocket or dispenser. It's essentially a lost piece of urban pet etiquette waiting to be picked up. A strange metal box with 6 doors was spotted on the back of a pickup truck. It looked like a specialized storage unit or a cage. The user wondered what it was for. This is a transport box for animal control officers or dog catchers. The separate compartments allow the officer to safely transport multiple stray animals, dogs, cats, or wildlife, without them interacting or fighting. The ventilation holes and secure latches are designed to keep the animals contained and breathing during the ride to the shelter. What was the weirdest object for you? Let me know in the comments and share this to test your friends. If you love uncovering these mysteries, hit like and subscribe. Your support helps us find more curious explorers like you. Stay curious.